Iroh is a traitor, and your brother Zuko is a failure. I have a task for you.
We are the Earth King's humble servants.
The events of the very popular 2007 show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, told the story of overcoming fear and taking responsibility, something Azula has never had to learn, being the favorite and spoiled child. It was interesting to see her character throughout the series, but have you ever wondered how the show would have changed if she wasn't a character at all? I answered a question similar to this about what would happen to the story if Zuko never switched sides, and I gotta say, the answer is pretty interesting. I'll have that link down below if you want to check that out. Hey guys, and welcome to Film Study, where we analyze films in various ways to make you see it in a different concept, and change a part of a scene and figure out how the rest of the story would play out based on a single change in one scene. As far as I'm concerned, Azula never truly had actual character growth that you ordinarily would see in a series or movie where the character has a challenge of overcoming something and changing. Yes, she changes, but she becomes more chaotic, especially towards the end of the last season. In the last moments we see her, she is 10 times more aggressive than when we meet her the first time. How that was possible, I give props to the writers. However, she never developed compassion or sincerity like Zuko learned. This may be because she didn't have someone by her that tried to improve her. And Zuko was kinda similar, ignoring Iroh in the beginning and was only focused on what he had to do. If her mother was by her side, she would have grown up with a better influence. I was curious to know how the series would have turned out if she wasn't a prime character. A woman by this username created an essay post on Tumblr explaining Zula's diagnosis, saying, "There are a couple reasons we might want to diagnose her. One is if you're mentally ill yourself. Headcanon Azula to have a similar disorder as yourself might be a way of seeing yourself in a fictional character." With a master's degree in clinical psychology, she explains why we shouldn't diagnose a character like this because at the end of the day, it won't change anything. Like today's scenario, for example, the point of today's video is to see what moments would be different if Zuko was an only child. In order to understand the outcomes of the series, we need to start at the very beginning when we see Azula and Zuko as children. We first are aware of her in Season 1, Episode 12, The Storm. While the storm is going on, Zuko has some flashbacks about the reason his scar was formed. Our introduction to Azula is that she was always looked at as the favorite. From the time they were kids, their mother, Ursa, tried to be the better influence for the kids, a loving mother, unlike Ozai, who was focused on controlling everything through the Fire Nation. So if you ask me, I don't know why he had kids in the first place. She still was a troubled child, of course, not only to us, but Ursa too at some points.
Someone will probably end up taking his place soon.
Young lady, not another word. What is wrong with that child?
Nonetheless, there was a moment I caught Zuko making choices that would incorporate Azula's behavior, like the time he showed his mom how Azula fed turtle ducks.
Hey Mom, wanna see how Azula feeds turtle ducks?
Zuko, why would you do that?
This was a minor incident, but gladly Zuko followed his own path and wasn't heavily influenced by her, and I think that was because their personalities were so different.
Everything always came easy to her. She's a fire-bending prodigy, and everyone adores her. My father says she was born lucky. He says I was lucky to be born. I don't need luck though. I don't want it.
From an early age, Azula learned this and the power of it and used it to her advantage every chance she got. And being the crown princess of the Fire Nation, she did have a fair amount of power. So first things first, Azula not existing wouldn't have impacted the incident between Ozai and Zuko and his banishment, since she was nowhere to be seen during that time. Azula makes a second brief appearance at the end of the first season when Ozai tasks her with repatriating Zuko and Iroh, who accompanied his nephew into exile and briefly cooperated with the series' protagonists. So, what feeling would Ozai have if Zuko was the only child to rely on for his mission? Well, he would have no choice but to rely on him or go after Aang himself. Honestly, it would have been interesting to see Ozai himself trying to track him down, but with Zuko and Iroh, it did add more to the story in order for it to be expanded. Even before his banishment, Zuko was still a disappointment in his father's eyes.
You have been away for a long time. See, the weight of your travels has changed you. Now I realize that banishment is far too merciful a penalty for treason. Your penalty will be far steeper.
The first time we see her is when she comes to Iroh and Zuko explaining that Ozai wanted them to come home, but ultimately tricking them, taking advantage of the fact that Zuko wanted peace within his family before the disappearance of his mother. After her first attempt to capture Zuko and Iroh is accidentally thwarted by her ship's captain, Azula enlists the help of Mai and Ty Lee. She eventually encounters Aang in Omashu and continues to pursue him, Zuko, and Iroh for the rest of the season. In the episode The Chase is the moment Iroh was targeted, which is the moment that changed Zuko's perspective. For this episode, Azula was the key antagonist. Without her, the events leading up to Iroh being struck would have never happened. This would have caused Zuko not to follow through with his request of learning more firebending skills throughout his quest. This is about the time Zuko changed his path in finding himself rather than focus on Aang. If Azula wasn't in the picture, Zuko more than likely would have never had the huge curve in character that we know with him wanting to join Aang. We would have seen Iroh push Zuko further to make better choices and take care of himself. As I go through a lot of the times Azula has made some of the choices she has done, I realize she is a greater character than what people might think. If you think about it, with Azula's actions, it caused not only halt from Aang's mission, but made Zuko's directory change. So Azula was the key to expand the series in order for it to be longer and more complicated, which is what made it a great series. Even Zuko's story, many have grown passionate to because of how we saw him grow.
It's a new day. We've got a new apartment, new furniture, and today's the grand opening of your new tea shop. Things are looking up, Uncle.
But it wasn't just Iroh that inspired him to grow. It was the cruelness of Azula's actions that opened his eyes.
Aw, they're so cute together. You two are such... Ugh, you'll never catch up.
I'd like to demonstrate what I've been learning.
You know, Father blames Uncle for the loss at the North Pole. And he considers you a miserable failure for not finding the Avatar. It means Uncle's a quitter and a loser.
What are you talking about? Uncle's not a quitter.
Oh, yes he is. He found out his son died and he just fell apart.
During the Crossroads of Destiny, Zuko was thrown into Ba Sing Se's prison with Katara. This allowed them to have a moment of understanding, that is, until Azula broke that. She eventually overthrows the Earth King briefly and ends up becoming an outrageous duel between everybody. When it becomes to be an outnumbered match, Aang triggers the Avatar state purposefully. Given that he learned to do this, he said himself, it can be triggered when he's in grave danger, so it would have been triggered anyway at some point. Assuming Azula wouldn't have been there at the time, Aang would have taken out the Dai Li and Zuko without control. This is where the series would have been shortened. With the Earth Kingdom now safe, the next move would be Ozai, leading to the success of the invasion. In the incident with the drill and the invasion of Ba Sing Se, Azula accomplished penetrating the wall but was eventually defeated. That is until the episode Appa's Lost Days. The Kyoshi warriors find Appa after he was taken and disguising herself as well as Mai and Ty Lee. Disguising themselves as the Kyoshi warriors, this entire season would change. This is because they are able to receive information that is to end the war. They are now on the inside of the city and find out about the planned invasion on the day of Black Sun. With Azula confronting the Kyoshi warriors when Appa was still missing, this also would have caused Appa to reunite with Aang sooner, but also not know about the guru who helped Aang master the Avatar state. But that wasn't technically needed. Mastering the Avatar state only meant being able to control it or trigger it, which was never a requirement for him. Helpful, yes, but truthfully he could have accomplished his mission without it. It's amazing to see just how much impact she had on the rest of the characters. With her power and not only being the princess, but of manipulation, she was able to persuade other powerful people like the Dai Li and even her father. It would have been interesting to see her and Zhao competing against each other, considering the type of people they both are and were focused on, power and control. So the story would have continued with Zuko continuing to track down Aang, not truly giving him the real obstacle that he needed in order to improve and grow as a character, his own sister. The series would have ended earlier than what it is now with 3 seasons because of the Day of Black Sun. Azula disguising herself allowed her to get information on the invasion, thus warning her father and the rest of the Fire Nation, so they wouldn't have known or been prepared for it. So the scene when Aang burst through the doors, more than likely he would have been there at the time, and a battle occur at that moment. So what do you guys think of this theory? I truly think Azula had a huge impact on this story. With her being excluded, however, the direction of the story would have gone a different way considering the kind of character she was. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below.